Yo, what is going on YouTube? Welcome back to episode 64 of the Weebs podcast. Today we have one of the most insane episodes ever. I swear to God, this thing is so jam-packed. We have nuclear content, nuclear news to talk about with To Be Hero X. You might know it, but most of you aren't going to, and let me tell you, I am so excited. To Be Hero X is like one of the most insane animes ever, and I cannot wait to talk about it. Not only the news about it, but also this week's episode, which was, again, absolutely phenomenal, just so good. But before that, guys, we just recorded the summer preview. If you guys don't know, before every anime season, we do a preview video where we talk about the animes that are coming out, what to look forward to, and some possible sleepers. And then, as the season starts, we do a check-in video. Let me just tell you, we talked about the past couple of weeks. This summer season is going to be the greatest season of anime ever. That's not like, it's not clickbait, it is just straight up the truth. We have never had this amount of depth in a season. Not only are some of the best animes dropping new seasons, but we're having some incredible, highly anticipated premieres that you're gonna want to keep track of. So if you want to stay in the loop, look out for that video. It's gonna be dropping next week, and it is gonna be amazing. I'm so excited for the summer season. But let's get right into To Be Hero X, because this is absolutely incredible. Three things, alright? I'm going to start with the, smaller stuff and make our way up to the incredible news. Alright, ready? So, first of all, did you know there's other series? There's other, To Be Hero series. Like, they're standalone series. They're not, like continuances. But, there's To Be Heroine and To Be Hero. So this isn't the first one. We talked about how it's, a cool concept and it seems really cool. Well, it's been done before. This time it's just, caught on and become really popular.
Wow, that's actually pretty sick. It seems, very refined. I would be extraordinarily impressed if this was somebody's first crack at an idea, which a lot of times in writing is not usually the case. You refine an idea or bounce it off people. So that's kind of sick to hear about, but I think that makes me a little more excited because they have a very, very focused direction that they're probably gonna go with this.
Yeah, when I heard about that, I'm like, dude, that's actually insane. I never would have imagined that. But that also brings us into number two, the first arc, the nice arc, the first 4 episodes. It was the first arc, but in the timeline, it's more towards the end. There is going to be a lot of a blur between the arcs, as we kind of discussed last episode. We're we talked about the number 10 hero and then the number 9 hero. Are we going to go in order, from number 10 to number 1? That is not the case. We found out that apparently there's some blur between each arc, and that's what kind of makes who is going to be the next arc. For example, Lucky Cyan was in the last arc. She was performing. It was a whole thing. Kind of talked about a lot throughout that arc. Now we have her arc. We saw the queen, the white-haired girl, and this arc, she's going to be the next arc. You know what I mean? So we kind of have that blur. Now, Nice and other heroes are going to be, in these other arcs. The Nice that we're going to be seeing in the upcoming episodes is going to be the guy before he jumped. It's going to be the actual OG Nice. The one who is kind of a piece of shit. Kind of perfectionist. The one that Moon despised. So I'm really excited to see him make an appearance again and kind of see the old self. That's going to be awesome. We don't know anything really about him.
No, you're right. We literally get 2 minutes into the first episode and he kills himself jumping off a building.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get to know him, but we do know a little bit from what you had said. Moon really didn't like him, didn't have much positive things to say about him because he was pretty self-absorbed, it seemed like. So it'd be cool to kind of see how OG Nice was, but also how the rankings, because he's still pretty high up there. I mean, we've only gotten a few characters introduced, but I wonder if people will see Nice differently, or at least the animes only.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to also help explain kind of everything that happened. It's going to give more insight onto that arc when we kind of learn more about the actual guy himself. So I think that's gonna be really cool. But that also brings us into the biggest piece of news surrounding To Be Hero X. That is that there is no source material. The manga doesn't exist. You know what I mean? I looked it up on the site I use. I didn't find it. I don't know if it's anywhere else. But here's what's apparently happening. We have 24 episodes. We're getting the introductions to the top 10 heroes. We're kind of getting a little bit about them, about what's kind of going on. We talked about how there is voting, so we can vote on who our favorite hero is, and we're going to have the actual rankings. Well, apparently, after the season ends, voting's going to close, and we're going to get the fan-made top 10, or even top 15 or top 20, because we are getting other heroes and lighter, stuff like that, right? Moon. So I don't know exactly what it's going to be. But that is going to dictate how Season 2 goes. Season 2 is apparently called the Heroes Tournament, and that's, in my opinion, incredible. We are literally going to be voting and deciding on how Season 2 is going to, play out. And whoever wins the Hero Tournament is going to be to be Hero X. So first of all, thank you guys. We absolutely love when you guys comment. It's nice hearing from you guys and hearing your perspectives on a lot of these animes. And when we get helpful information like that, we just really appreciate it. So thank you guys, everyone who commented on the last video. That's where I got a lot of this information from. So I'm super excited. I think that that's absolutely incredible. That's so sick. I'm so hyped for the rest of the season and also for season 2 now.
And that, like, the way they've built it up, and we've talked about this pretty much every week, like the way they deliver these backstories, and they're creative, they're different, they're like deeply emotional. It really makes you attached to these characters. So by the end of season 1, you're going to be like, oh, well, I like these 3 characters, but these 2 are badass. Like, you know, this one would probably do good in the tournament. I think they're setting up for that extremely, extremely well. And having that information ahead of time, you're like, you know, starting to think critically while you're watching it, like, all right, is Nice actually a piece of shit? Like, will I vote for him? You know what I mean? Type thing. So I think that's awesome. And it's just like another, you know, another layer to Be Hero X that I think makes it such a good anime, but also like one of the more creative and fresh ones that we've gotten in a while.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely insane. And I think what's really cool is that recently, what was it, like a year or 2 ago, we had the Naruto, you know, fan favorite voting. And if we learned anything from that, it's that things can get really crazy, unexpected, chaotic when the fans are able to actually vote. You know what I mean? Because who knows who's going to pick what. I know after the second arc, everyone's kind of like, yo, our boy Nice better stay number 1. We got to keep him there. Moving forward, I don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, you seem to be a huge fan of him later. I mean, honestly, the guy's been pretty awesome. He made a pretty good villain in the first arc, and in the second arc, he comes in and kind of like, you know what I mean? He's not a good guy or a bad guy. He plays that fence, and I'm like, I love how he's in the middle there. So I think that he's a really cool character. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, Lucky Cyan, we're gonna be getting into this episode. She seems absolutely incredible. Like, how can you not love that character? She seems so sick, and I can't wait to see her kind of like fight. I feel like she's gonna be badass. But then, I mean, we have my favorite character. My absolute favorite character, the Queen, the white hair girl. I can't believe that we saw her in this arc so far. Apparently, they're good friends. I cannot wait to see more of her. I'm going to be honest, that's going to be my number 1 vote. I'm already going to vote for her. I saw the clips. I saw her in the trailers. She looks insane. When she starts fighting, forget it. It's over. GG's. She seems like she's going to be absolutely incredible, so I cannot wait to see and meet all the characters. And then voting is going to be impossible. Because we talked about it last podcast episode. Some of these characters are phenomenal. They looked so cool. So it's going to be really tough to vote.
I mean, even just with what we've been exposed to so far, like after watching this week's episode, I was like, dude, Lucky Cyan is awesome. Really, really good backstory. It's easy to like kind of feel for and empathize with her situation. And she's also like a rock star. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very easy to like, you know, kind of Hatsune Miku, like look to her, obviously with the blue hair. It's going to be tough. Like, it would already be tough to kind of like vote your way through. And yeah, and Lighter's not like a main hero, but dude plays an excellent character, that kind of gray area between good and bad. So there's a lot of like people to love. So I think by the time we're at the end of 24 episodes, we're going to be like, you know, how are you going to come to a conclusion? But yeah, I'm voting for Queen as well. Love a good mommy character, so that takes care of that. Very, very deep explanation there.
I mean, it's gonna be really cool. Like, getting into this episode, it was awesome. I felt so bad for her, man. First of all, I cannot wait to learn more about her because, like, there was a plane crash and she was sitting in the middle of it completely fine. What is going on with that? That seems like very unlucky too. You know what I mean? Like, it's lucky that she survived, she was okay. But the whole incident, like, there is definitely something more up to that, and it's definitely fishy. But seeing her getting taken advantage of by absolutely everybody was bullshit. And I love our boy, the Calamity, that kind of comes in and it's kind of just like, nah, like, you got to do what you want to do. He's not using her for luck, you know what I mean? Like everyone else was. You know, he's actually like, all right, like, just be you. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to fuck up. I love how it's like, yo, like, throw the rock at the, like, the red dot. It was the fire alarm. It's like, see, you can be lucky and still have a bad day. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, this guy's awesome. I absolutely love him. He's incredible.
Yeah, he added a great, like, juxtaposition to her character, which I think was super, super, super well written. Especially, like, coming into that whole, like, orphanage situation, which, like, 9 times out of 10 is not great, and it's certainly not great for an anime character. You know what I mean? Let's be honest. So like the situation is really cool. You know, everybody's using her. She's obviously lucky. She survives the plane crash and is like this beacon of luck for everybody. So they basically just use her, and nobody gets to know her or, you know, really ask what she wants to do. And then she meets the Calamity, and he wants none of that. You know what I mean? I think he, more than anybody, kind of helps her and pushes her to like do things on her own and not necessarily try to maintain this like perfect saintly image, which I'm sure she's kind of used to with the whole like church thing and blessing people, which for a little kid has got to be kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, like it's definitely got to be like I don't know. I hated that. I liked how like Dean at first was like on her side and was kind of like looking out for her, but then was just like, oh, let's just use her and make her like a symbol of worship. It's like, bro, like come on, and then makes her like run the church. By the way, that outfit did look pretty sick though, like the robe with the mask. I'm like, that's pretty tough.
Very tough, dude.
Yeah, but like still, the whole idea of it's fucked up. I love when she was like, fuck it. Has the roller skates and they're just jamming out on stage. It was like, oh my god, like dude, the music slaps. There's no way you're like horrified. Like they killed it. They fucking. Are you kidding me? It was awesome.
Dude, if that happened at my church, I'd be rocking out. You know what I mean? Like, the pulpit just like takes off the robes and starts shredding. And yeah, like her actual outfit is really, really cool too.
Yeah, like it seems like it's gonna be like such a good arc. I guess like so far the arcs, the first episode has just taken place, her as a kid. So she's gonna be growing up. We're gonna see how she becomes like a massive idol. I mean, she sold out that stadium. That was absolutely incredible. I mean, I even kind of sent you the schedule because we talked about that last episode. I'm like, hey, there is the schedule out. You know what I mean? So we are getting like I think 3 episodes, right? Yeah, we're getting 3 episodes for her. Only 2 for the Queen, which is unfortunate. But I mean, we still have like a lot to kind of go over. Like, that's gonna be awesome. Kind of seeing like, okay, how did she got from point A to point B? All right, we kind of known how she's kind of grown up, how she got into music, how did she become this massive celebrity now? Does she even fight? You know what I mean? That's like a whole thing because like they're heroes. You know what I mean? She has a bunch of popularity, so she's like, she has the trust value of a hero. But does she actually like act like one? That's gonna be a lot of like things that are really interesting to kind of see. So I'm really excited for this arc.
Dude, absolutely. We kind of talked about it last week, and just from the vibes we got, obviously she's like an idol or a rock star, so like
Mm,
being a hero and fighting doesn't strike me as like her first or her second priority.
yeah.
And then when we got her backstory, being a hero was never on her radar. When you compare it to somebody like Lin Ling, who literally wanted to be Hero X.
Yeah.
She's just kind of going about her life and like never really put that together. So yeah, does she fight? Could she care less, even though she has the popularity of a hero? Does she even care? She just kind of wants to do her thing and rock out. I think it'll be interesting to see how they write her. Obviously, she's gonna like have some combat ability, I would imagine, just because of her popularity. But like, where does she fit in to this whole space? And then, kind of touching on the relationship that she has with Queen. How does that factor into it? And like, the leverage Queen has over her or with her, and whatever they're doing. But yeah, we still haven't really got that deep into it. It was mostly just her backstory, which I think sets us up to, kind of play that out this next episode.
I think that's gonna be really cool looking forward and moving forward. Is considering that hey, season 2 is gonna be a tournament that's gonna decide who's gonna be 2B Hero X. It kind of gives you a different outlook on everything. Like when it comes to Isol, yeah, he doesn't have my vote. You know what I mean? He doesn't like strike like that's not my 2B Hero X. Nice, absolutely, because like he's being genuinely himself. He's a really good guy. Like this is like what he really looks up to and wants to be. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of like the perfect spot right now. And I feel like moving forward, since we know like that's going to be the goal, where they're going to be in this tournament, and we're going to see okay, who's going to be 2B Hero X, who's going to be on top. It's going to be like, all right, well, we're going to be watching them, looking to see like, okay, who should it be? You know what I mean? Like should it even be the Queen? Like she's going to be my favorite character. She so far is. I don't know. I feel like they're going to really surprise me moving forward. There's a lot of really cool designs, and they are absolutely killing with these backstories in these arcs. But it's like even her, she seems very like business like. I don't want that for 2B Hero X. You know what I mean? I want someone like nice. You know what I mean? That's where like he is genuine. He's authentic. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's going to give us a new perspective moving forward, which is going to be like really kind of cool to look out throughout these arcs.
Yeah, it'll change kind of the way you watch. Maybe not necessarily the backstories, but like the end of like each character's arc. Like where do they fit in? Yeah, like are they good? Are they just doing this for money? Like kind of what's the motive there? And I think that'll make it more fun because you're watching, obviously, to watch a sick anime, but with
Yeah.
intent for season 2 and for the voting come the end of the season. So yeah, very excited to see how it plays out. And I can't wait to see kind of like how they fit Lucky Cyan in, because everything that I've seen so far, she really doesn't want to play hero or be hero.
Yeah. So yeah, well, that's gonna be insane because we still have like what 2 more episodes. You know what I mean? This is her as a little kid. It's expected that she doesn't want to fight. So it's definitely gonna see like how things kind of turn out because we have no idea. I mean, she could be a badass that just kicks ass. You know what I mean? And that could be like a really cool kind of twist and be pretty awesome. But speaking of some bullshit, we got to talk about the anime awards. It's something I forgot to bring up in the intro. dude, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. The fact that solo leveling goes and wins, like wins out. Best MC, best best anime of the year. I think best ending too. It ended up winning. Like this is
It,
insane.
dude, didn't it? It got both. Oh no, Dan didn't got the best opening, but yeah,
Which
I mean
was
the ending was
deserved. Dan to
cool.
Dan got a lot of views for its opening. That makes sense. Solo leveling ending for the first season. This is the first season we're talking about.
The
Like, come
second
on.
season ending was way better. I
Oh,
gotta say, I was
incredible.
super disappointed. Not that I mean, we kind of had like that inkling and expectation that we would be disappointed and it would kind of go like, maybe recency bias
Yeah.
and popularity. I thought Solo Leveling's awesome, and if Jinwoo was the best main character, sure, I think that's more applicable in season two.
Hmm.
Um, so it's not to say that Solo Leveling didn't deserve the awards, but
Oh no, it did not
I think
deserve the
objectively,
awards. Absolutely not. For season one,
I would
nah.
say objectively, it was not the best anime, and you can make a
Hmm.
very easy argument as to why it should have been like Apothecary Diaries or Frieren. Frieren had way more depth than
Yeah.
a fucking season with a recap episode.
Okay, here's what I gotta say. I think it's completely rigged. Hear me out here. So first
I
of
agree.
all, the fact that it was delayed so much, like why was last year's awards in January and this one's halfway throughout this year? Why did they wait to start
Ooh,
voting
yeah,
after season two ended? That doesn't make
I forgot
any
about that,
sense. Yeah, that's
bro. They
come on.
waited till the spring. They waited till the fucking spring.
Mhm.
You're
It
very
makes
good
no
point.
sense. It makes no sense. But here's the thing that everyone keeps saying, and I agreed with until I thought more about it. Everyone's like, "Hey guys, we got to just realize that these awards aren't for us. We're the minority. The people who watch like everything that are very involved in anime. The majority of people just kind of watch the surface level stuff and pretty much just watch solo leveling, which is why solo leveling just gonna get spammed. They're not gonna think about anything else. They're not gonna think about like, oh, this is about season one and not season two. Okay, and I'm thinking about that. I'm like, no, that's not the case because the people who are voting and who know about the awards is the minority. You know what I mean? The people who like aren't really into anime and are like casuals per se, they're probably still watching season two of Solo Leveling. They're always months behind. They really aren't watching much of anime, and they probably have no idea that Crunchyroll even has an award show. I literally just talked to somebody who's a casual anime watcher, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're into anime." I'm like, "Oh, absolutely." We started talking about it. I'm like, "Oh wow, they're like really out of the loop. Like they're still watching season two of Solo Leveling. They have no idea that Crunchyroll has an award." Show, you know what I mean, and that there is a voting. They barely know what Crunchyroll is, so that's why I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I really think that this stuff's just rigged. It makes no sense. From what I've seen in the comments, every content creator, every fan, they're all saying that, dude, Frieren should have won Anime of the Year, and Mal from Apothecary Diaries should have won Best MC. And hands down, that's something that everyone agrees on. Like that is so universal. Like I mean, there's a lot that can contend for Anime of the Year, except for Solo Leveling. I could see people saying Kaiju. I can see people saying Frieren. I can see people saying Apothecary Diaries, not solo leveling season one. So I mean, there's the announcers from the awards that were even kind of talking about how awkward and uncomfortable it was because you kind of hear those winners and you're kind of like, oh, okay, I can't react. I'm on camera right now. This is weird. So I think
Mm.
that it's rigged. I think that this is just for these companies and these studios to kind of just sit there and pat themselves on the back, and it doesn't make any sense. Which is why, ladies and gentlemen, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the corporations. I'm tired of this BS. I'm tired of people who aren't passionate about it. Because people said the same thing about Disney. Why is Disney run by this company or this family that doesn't give a shit about it? Sell it to someone who's passionate about it and bring life back into Disney. We talk about it with the Flyers. We want Comcast to sell the team. They look at it as a business. We want
So true.
passion. You know what I mean? Which is why, guys, we are finally going to be bringing anime awards back to the fans. Next year, we're going to be doing it. We're gonna be doing our own. We're gonna make our award show. We're gonna be doing the best like categories. I don't want to do like some random stuff. I don't want to get into like this tedious stuff like best director. Who gives a fuck? All right, no one even knows the directors. We want to get into the stuff that matters and have it be by the fans. Now, since we're small, we're not going to be able to do voting, but I want to do a ton of research into the communities and kind of figure out like what does everyone genuinely want, what genuinely deserves to win, and not have it be biased at all. Recognize the art in the craft that is the beauty of anime and really give appreciation to it. Not fuck these studios. We're fucking done with it. We're done with the corporate side of it. I mean, Crunchyroll, Dude, Crunchyroll has gone so corporate. They've been bought by Disney and by Sony, and you can feel like this is Sony. This is just an extension of another corporate BS. They got rid of the comment section. The award show absolutely sucks. It's an absolute clown show that no one takes serious. We gotta bring the passion back to the anime awards and actually have it be for the people. That's what I think. This was a clown show. The nominations I felt absolutely sucked. The nominations were good, and the winners were just so like predictable. From just okay, what would be the worst winner here? Oh, that one. Great, makes sense, perfect.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm right with you. I was kind of expecting to be disappointed, and I think we definitely were. I
Mm-hmm.
think taking a grassroots approach to a lot of things, but
Yeah,
especially something like this would be perfect. And I think it gets people a little more focused and involved because, it's like a bunch of peers or a community voting on something rather than letting Sony tell you what they thought you liked the most this year.
yeah.
And, at the end of the day, like, it's probably not the best thing for huge companies to be owning stuff like this, but that is unfortunately the way it works. I
Mm-hmm.
get that a lot in music. I'm a big music dork as well. And like Beyonce being the best country artist this year, she just wasn't. Like, you know what I mean? It's all about
Yeah.
popularity and kind of like kickbacks and stuff. I think I'm not a huge country guy, but there's a lot of really good country artists that I think get overshadowed when somebody like Beyonce has like 20 some Grammys or whatever it
Yeah.
is. She doesn't need another one. Give it to somebody who, had a more grassroots approach or is like a little bit under the radar where that bit of popularity would take them to the next level. And I think there's a lot of animes that even just a nomination, this had some of the best characters, even though maybe wasn't as big as Frieren or Solo Leveling. You could put something else in there that would put it on people's radars, which I think in a way is what the responsibility is. Like, it's not my full time job, but like at the same time, you do want to put people onto stuff like Yakuza Fiance was a phenomenal 12-episode banger that
Wasn't
was
even
under a lot of
nominated.
people's radar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like to say that wasn't a good romance or like a top five,
Drama, nah.
you know,
For romance, I wouldn't even put it in that conversation. Drama, it was one of the best drama animes out there. Same thing with Clash of the Elite. Neither of them got nominated. It's like, what
ha-
dramas are you watching?
Classroom of the Elite, I think, was the biggest snub because it's
Mm-hmm.
well written. You have like a lot of moving parts in that. I would say that probably was my biggest snub, but I would love to, yeah, kind of get back to like a more homegrown approach and, have everyone tell everyone what they liked the most or what was the best, et cetera, et cetera.
I think it's just studios that are kind of like, all right, let's just divvy up the awards of how we think. You know what I mean? It makes no sense because also we're huge fans of Demon Slayer. We were the only ones fucking giving that anime praise this season because everyone was hating on it because there's no action, so everyone was just bored. They're like, dude, just skip it. How many times did we talk about how people were just commenting and just like posting about how they should just cut the season like right in the middle of it and just move on to the next one? Like it was insane the hatred Demon Slayer guy. I'm like, hey guys, like it's just enjoyable. It's just a nice little like relaxing anime to kind of watch on the weekends. It's progressing the story and then ended with a bang. Why was it winning awards? Everyone hated on it all year long. There's no shot people are voting on it to win awards. It made no sense. So I don't think that it's real. I think it's completely rigged. I don't think the voting actually matters. So next year, boys, or I guess this year, this upcoming January, we're gonna be doing our own. We're gonna have proper nominations, and we're gonna really kind of do research, be unbiased, and give props where it's due because there's a lot of animes that really are works of art that really are phenomenal and that deserve the praise and the recognition, and this is bullshit. We gotta bring passion back to it, and we eventually do if we can like end up if the channel ends up growing. We gotta like have proper voting, but I feel like if like four people vote, there's no point. You know what I mean? So that's where we have to like
Yeah,
really figure out where the winners are, like who the winners are.
yeah, hopefully we can, blow up a little bit. I think that would be
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fun for people to engage in. And, like you can always have discussions in the comments of why you think,
Yeah.
whoever is best girl this season and like I hate to trash on Solo Leveling because like it probably will be a nomination for best anime because it
Which
absolutely
this year
slapped.
now it should. You know what I mean? This year now
Season
it
two,
should.
yes.
Yes.
So I'm sure we'll be revisiting this this time next year or
Yeah.
January next year, but I think you're right. At the end of the day, it just comes down to like passion and like getting on the ground and like seeing what people actually say and are receptive to versus
Yeah.
trying to tell fans what they like.
It's bad even when solo leveling fans are in the comments. No one was happy that solo leveling won. Not even the fans. Even solo leveling fans were like, yo, they didn't deserve that. This is about season one. Season one was not on the level of Free or any of these other animes. Like, Jinwoo being the MC, the best MC of season 1. Come on, like we're
Crazy.
watching the same anime. It's like even when the So Long's fans were like, "Yo, this was okay," you know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll take it.
It says everything. Yeah, it really says everything. But let's move on. It was a disaster. Fuck you, Crunchyroll. All right, Windbreaker, Fire Force. What do you want to get into?
Let's get into Windbreaker. I
All
feel
right.
like Fire Force was pretty packed too, but I'm excited. I would say like from what I know from the manga, which is obviously like not enough to make a really educated guess.
Mm-hmm.
I know who the guy with the tattoos is, but it's going in a different direction than I thought.
Oh,
So to kind
really?
of get like this, yeah. So this whole like Roppo Ichiza arc, that other group, I was not ready for them to come in, but it was kind of cool to see another like group of good guys that
Mm-hmm.
we've kind of bonded over these last like 2 episodes, episode and a half. Because so far through Windbreaker, we've really only been introduced to like I don't want to call them all antagonists, but they are at one point. Keel, obviously piece of shit. Shistoran, I think, really warmed up to them, and I would say they're more of an ally now than they were
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of season 1. So like they're not all bad guys, but at one point things are gonna come to a head. So it was cool to introduce Roppo Ichiza as like an ally. But also, those guys look 18 to you? Do they look like the average anime high schooler? Like, I was like, yo, no
Oh, the guys in
way.
the suits or the new opponents?
Yeah, the guys in the suits. I'm
I
like, yeah,
love that, by
dude,
the way. I love how they're just wearing suits and just fucking people up.
flexing, dude. They look so good. Yeah, and again, the style. Windbreaker always given like, like a
Mm-hmm.
unique design, but also like fight styles to
Mm-hmm.
each character. So it feels like you really have, like this huge cast of really good characters. Like
Yeah.
the leader Kanjo, really similar to Umamiya, and obviously they draw that comparison a couple times, like through Sakura's inner monologue.
Yeah.
But like seeing that, it was like, well done, very nicely done. I like that a lot.
Yeah, this season's been awesome. I love how we have new allies, you know what I mean? We have new opponents, but we're just having a lot to look forward to. A lot of plot lines that are just being, created and then developed. Like I think it's really cool how the dude who's like a fanboy and is kind of writing notes is learning how to fight. Like that's awesome. Can you imagine like in like a season or two he's like fucking people up? Like that's gonna be that's gonna be such a win. I cannot wait for that. Like we're gonna be popping champagne bottles when he starts messing with people up. I mean, this little armadillo act where he just kind of like jumps down. You know what I mean? The guy
Dude,
goes flying.
did you ever do that? We would do this in high
Oh
or
yeah,
more like middle school. Tabletopping people. I was like, yo, that is the most realistic shit ever. Like
yeah.
very base Windbreaker.
Like it was awesome, and the guy even said he's like, dude, you kept your eyes open. You know what I mean? You looked up. Like he's actually learning. You know what I mean? He's actually like becoming more confident and becoming ballsier. You know what I mean? He's not like cowering away, which is awesome. Again, I cannot wait to see him fight. But the fights have been absolutely phenomenal. I think the new villains we got too, they seem really cool. Like they actually seem like they're like, I don't know, just like I can't wait to see them get their asses kicked. That's gonna be great. But now we're also in the red light district. I never thought that the setting would take place there. And of all places, these high schoolers are just chilling in the red light district, and Tsubaki's now a stripper. That's why we didn't like talk about it last episode because we're like, we need some explanation here. Right? How did our innocent little Tsubaki, you know what I mean, who's just like, yo, like, this kind of stuff's like pretty, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I understand that, like that makes sense, yeah. As we get into cross dressing, he meets the old couple. It's like very like innocent, you know what I mean? They're like, hey, like you do you. Like if that's what you like, go for it. It's like, all right, fuck yeah, yeah, Subaki. And now Subaki's a stripper, and it's like, all right, we need some clarification here because that was the craziest like just end to an episode ever. They showed Subaki in a stripper pole, and they're like, all right, see you next week, guys. Later. It's like, okay, but I love the explanation for it. Subaki saw a video and was like, that seems cool. It just became a stripper. Like,
And it was like way
right?
more wholesome than like, I had to strip for money or like whatever, like some bad situation. It was like, yeah, just thought pole dancing looked sick. All right, fair, fair.
Dude.
Yo, and all the homies were around him, like just hyping it up. Like, Suo's like sitting there clapping. I'm like, yo, this is awesome.
Dude, even Sakura did pretty well considering. I feel like Sakura would be a mess there.
Yeah, he held it together pretty good. I think our boy's growing just a little bit.
Bro, I love the lieutenants. I love how they sit down. Tsubaki's like, yo, have some food on my dime. And the lieutenants are like, yeah, thanks. Stacks of like empty plates. Just like, the fuck? Tsubaki's like, guys, like, knock it off. I'm like, dude, I thought you were paying. And he's like, no, we're done. Cancel the fruit platter. We're done. Like, that was dessert.
Send that back. Send that back. That was so good.
Tsubaki's like, yo, you guys got like some modesty here. Like, Jesus, like, calm down. They're just plowing food. I was dying at that. That was so funny.
I know you go from like that, like, pretty wholesome, very funny experience to like things really heating up outside. And
Yeah.
I don't know how like deep this arc with Gravel goes, the new antagonist kind of group. I can't imagine, they do that much damage, or like they get the girl Shizuka. I can't imagine they really like accomplish anything with both Roppo Ichiza and, I mean, you got at least like 6, 7 Furying guys there, and like obviously one of them is like a top dog. So, and so is Sakura. I think Sakura is pretty tough. I don't think anything's gonna happen. So it'll be interesting to see how Gravel, like, is this the smaller section of a bigger group, or just some kind of fodder group before we get to the big tattooed baddie.
The thing I do gotta say is that I would love an anime like Windbreaker, but like actually dark. Like Windbreaker is like very light. Like, okay, we have these delinquents that are like mercenaries. They don't really seem all that scary. You know what I mean? They're making the red light district seem like alright, like you know what I mean? Like we're at the strip club and Tsubaki's just like chilling out, just stripping because it's fun. Everyone's like, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? You have like this girl who's just singing there. It's like, brother, if we go to the red light district, I don't think it's gonna look like that. If we go to a strip, I don't think it's gonna look like that. You know what I mean? I feel like they're taking like these like very like these things that could have like a lot of like depth and darkness to it, and they're making it very light and seem like very like you know what I mean? So like I would love to see an anime that like actually goes into like how fucked up things can be, and like have it kind of be like dark, and because like I don't know, I feel like they take these very like subjects that are very like I don't know, you can go like a lot of places with them, and they're like, all right, let's do the late version. It's like the kids version of it. So that's something I've noticed, and they're getting more and more into that, especially with this arc.
Yeah, we'll see how it like plays out in the future, but I'm definitely with you. As somebody who spent a couple days in Shinjuku, I can promise you it is definitely not as nice as that. Very fun. If you like getting into shit that you're not supposed to be doing. And people are very aggressive. I will leave it at that, both boys and girls. So yeah, this is not a place you would want to be if you were a high schooler, but which I think was kind of like a cool little Easter egg if you know about it. There's like a square in Shinjuku that like delinquents and high schoolers go when they like run away from home and stuff, and that's where they'll hang out. They'll like sleep there and kind of party there and stuff. So in a way it's true, but my experience was not. It was darker than what you're seeing on
Windbreaker's
Windbreaker.
taking like serious subjects and just making it very light. You know what I mean? Very surface level stuff, and it kind of gives a different appearance to it, which I don't think is bad. You know what I mean? Because it still is an enjoyable anime. But that's something I just keep noticing, where I'm like, you guys are taking these very serious subjects, especially like when you're talking about like delinquents beating the fuck out of each other, and then you make it like very lighthearted, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like it'll be interesting to see how the arc either like opens up or what we get into next, but I definitely agree with you. I have a pretty good idea, but I feel like it does mostly stay a little bit lighter like that.
Yeah, like I don't mind it. I don't think it's bad, but it's one of those things where like I'm not looking for Windbreaker to take like a dark turn anymore. You know what I mean? I'm not expecting it to get like super serious or to like to become something that it hasn't been. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, this is kind of like the vibe that Windbreaker is. Like I get it.
Yeah, and I'm still a fan of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything, but it'll get good. It'll definitely be violent.
Yeah, that's something we can always, guarantee. I mean, we've had how many fights now in the past couple episodes? It's been insane.
Yeah, true that. It has been heating up. Well, I'll tell you after the pod. I'll tell you. Remind me to tell you about Nirei.
Okay, I will. But speaking of insane fights, I mean, Fire Force has been getting absolutely insane. Dude, Sister Sumire, what is up with that? She's like, we're gonna have some insane fight with her. She seems so insanely strong. Like, I cannot wait to get it. But, like, before things got good, she, like, went to the other, like, dimension, and then everyone's like, okay, like, let's just leave. Like, let's just...
As soon as she stops moving, everyone's like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here.
And then she comes back and everyone's gone. It's like, dude, like, they were just saving that fight. They're like, no, not yet. It's too early. We gotta save this for the end of the season. Let's have a little plot armor.
Really good build up though. I was like really surprised because Sister Sumire not only like hit in the story with how they were feeding the kids the Adala bugs and all that stuff, very diabolical. But she's also strong as shit. She has some really cool, like,
she's a pillar.
Vibration. Yeah, exactly. She's a pillar, so that speaks to like her strength. But
Mm-hmm.
instead of like your traditional like fire-based abilities or lightning, she was using vibration and like causing earthquakes and stuff. It was like, wow. So definitely going to be an OP character, and there's no way she looks like that old lady nun vibe. I think she's been hiding her appearance. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm calling transformation in the future.
Dude, she's gotta be like some like devil looking like beast. She's gotta have like some like final form in whatever fight they're gonna have and just be an absolute menace. Like it's gonna be insane. Like I love how like the earthquakes with her shivering. She was like, oh yeah, like it's just too cold here. You know what I mean? That's why I have to turn this place into hell. And like she's using her shivers to like expand those vibrations. That's what the earthquakes were. And I'm like, dude, holy shit, she's insane. We got like more information on the pillars too. I feel like that is gonna be so cool. I think, don't quote me on this, we are kind of getting to the end of Fire Force apparently. Apparently there's not many seasons
Yeah.
left. So things are really gonna start to pop off soon. And I'm really looking forward to a lot of these fights. Sister Samira seems like she's going to be one insane fight that no one expected. But I love whenever she's in the story because we learn so much lore when she's around.
Yeah, like going through even, like the prior episode, I think we were finally exposed to some bigger lore.
Mm-hmm.
And like they just give it to you in pieces, which some animes have been doing. But this feels like we finally got like a serious chunk of what's missing, because we were asking who the other pillar would be.
Mm-hmm.
And like I didn't really expect that, but I also didn't expect her to be, making kids transform and get powers and all that stuff. So like very cool lore bomb, but at the same time, like you still have other questions that you're like, all right, now what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just also real fucked up. I mean, the kid's still being like alive when she's like, when they're like, "Oh, you thought they died," and they came back as like those little like demon dogs. I was like, "Oh,
Brutal.
like what? That was so creepy." Yeah, it was brutal. I was like, "You're gonna get fucked up for that," and like a season or two, or a couple episodes or two, like that's gonna bite you in the ass. Oh,
Definitely. Like you see something like that and it's like, yeah, you crossed the line. That's gonna get you killed in the story.
yeah, that's what we call reason for the MC to put you down. Like that's
Yeah.
MC material. Like that's
Do your thing,
insane.
Shinra.
Yeah, like that's gonna be absolutely insane. That caught me by surprise. I was like, dude, no shot. And like you recognize like the one kid too, and it's like, oh, like dude, the District 5 like captain is gonna go off.
Dude, I cannot wait for that. And it was
Mhm.
cool how they like held off on it, so that fight is about to pop off in the future.
Yeah.
Um, just like our boy Arthur. My man was definitely down in the
Oh my
dumps
god, his sword being
and
from
leaving
Home Depot.
bro literally has like the Walmart sword and he thinks it's straight up Excalibur. And like, yo, I love how the other guy is like, yeah, you can get that from your local hardware store. That like, I forget the or he calls it. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
is that from your fantasies? He's like, no, that's real.
He's like,
Like,
where'd you get it? He's like,
okay.
it's also from Home Depot. It's like, I like Arthur like admits it. He starts talking about his legendary ore found like volcanoes and all this other stuff. He's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the material's like from like Home Depot. He's like, no, 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 and he starts going into it. And he's like, okay, well, where'd you get it? He's like, Home Depot, and he's just like, yeah, makes sense. And then he just rolls over. He's like depressed as shit. And I love how they go in like this whole like expedition. They're like, all right, let's create like a little video game scenario to try to like get him materials to like rebuild his sword or like to forge him a sword. Which, first of all, if we're like playing to his delusions, bro's gonna get a power up. But you gotta imagine too, having like a better sword or a better like hilt, it's gonna like give him a better advantage in these fights. I mean, again, the sword he's been using to fuck people up is something you can just go to the store and get. You know what I mean? So him having like better equipment, I think is gonna be awesome and they're really cool. But they didn't account for him being an absolute moron and being like, yeah, let's go to the nether. And they're like, no, that's not what we meant. And he's like, no, no, we're going to the nether. It's like, dude, but people don't survive that place. Like, you're not coming back, especially without a weapon. Let's remind ourselves of that. You're powerful. Maybe with you and the squad, like Shinra and like Joker, Benny, you can do well. You're unequipped and you're with the side characters. Like, how do you expect to come back from this
Yeah.
alive? Like, we're not going to the nether. And it's like, dude, he's an idiot. He's gonna get them killed. I'm like, no shot.
He's so committed to just classic Arthur,
Mhm.
Delulu. I thought it was super funny, but yeah, like they're all rocking with this idea, feeding into his like fantasy
Mhm.
type thing and like playing along, and then he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to the Nether now," and they're like, "Oh, whoa!" Like that's as far as it goes, and he's like, "Nope." But also like the video game aspect, and they
Mhm.
had like the menus where you could like select the thing.
Yeah.
That was such a cool little touch. Like they didn't have to do that, but like the
Mhm.
way they animated that, I thought was like a really, really nice touch this episode.
Dude, like this season of Fire Force has been like really good. Like the fights so far have been really like nice. I mean, the lore has been awesome. Like I've been really intrigued with the plot. I mean, there's so many things going on right now too that just keeps it so entertaining. Everything going on with Arthur, everything going on with the sister, and the lore behind like the pillars and what's going on with the experiments with the kids. So intriguing with that. I mean, Shinra and his stuff with going on. I mean, I'm assuming next episode, since he was kind of MIA this episode, is me back on him again. So that's gonna be like really cool to see like how he powers up, how he levels up and gets ready for the fights. You know, take things to the next level, but also kind of like cope with what happened. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot that happened. You know, with the fight. I forget what the old dude was called. What's his name again?
Captain Burns.
Yeah, Captain Burns. Everything that happened with him. I mean, Captain Burns was like a father figure to him, so I mean, you know, he's got to like process that. I mean, is Captain Burns dead? We don't technically know. He's definitely not doing well right now. But then everything with Benny Maru too and Joker, you know, that is another plotline that's playing out where it's like, all right, those two are ready to mess things up. You know what I mean? They are itching for a fight, and I feel like we have yet to still see their full potential. And I don't think we're ready for it. That is going to be some of the greatest anime fights ever.
I know, dude. It's like you have all these like plot points that are slowly like moving
Mm-hmm.
together, and kind of like you said in the beginning, I do feel like we're gearing up. You know, we've hit that like sixth gear. This is kind of the end of Fire Force, and like we're leading up to that last arc, which, you know, with other shows like My Hero, I feel like is really, really drug out. So we could be getting another season of just like intense action, and you know, maybe the season builds us up, which I'm fine with. But
Yeah.
I do think we'll get, you know, by the end of this season, I definitely think we'll get more into kind of where we're going to be. You know what I mean? This will be gearing us up for that final, you know, those final confrontations, battles, and kind of fill in the gaps a little more and give us a little more lore before it's like, all right, shit's about to hit the fan and everybody's squaring up.
Dude, it's gonna be awesome. I don't know. I feel like Fire Force is really gonna deliver a solid end. Soul Eater did. Soul Eater wasn't that like long of a series as well. I think Soul Eater only had 50 episodes, so of course Fire Force surpassed that. It's gonna be a lot more, but it's been really good. You know what I mean? It's been really entertaining. We said in the beginning of the season, you know, it's got really good arcs, and this one has been, you know, on par with that. It's been really intriguing. So it's like where this goes, I'm really excited. I don't know. Yeah, this definitely isn't the last season. I think it's got one or two more. I'm pretty sure. So like, there's still a lot that can happen
Yeah.
and a lot to go down, which I think is going to be absolutely insane. But getting into like the pillars, I think that has been one of the coolest, plot lines to this series. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I gotta say, Fire Force has really sucked me in. I've really enjoyed it. And let's be honest, you got like an old granny looking nun, you know, bum rushing one of these characters. And he just like hits him with the bass drop as she like brings
Oh,
this dude to his knees. I'm like, God, Fire Force is fucking cool.
yo, that granny was messing people up. The way that he went to go reach for his weapon, and she like crushed it. And she's like, "Oh, like it makes cold. Like that's interesting." And like her just frost tips on her fingertips. Like, dude, they can't even reach for their weapons, and she's just messing them up. She seems so disgustingly OP. It's insane. It's incredible.
Yeah, dude, I cannot wait to see how that plays up. And they kind of use her in battle, but I think it's gonna really hit the fan. I think it'll kind of gear up and kind of, you know, like Arthur, you know, he's gonna get a new sword, maybe a power up, and
Mm.
you know, kind of lock us in, maybe a little bit more, you know, dialogue between characters before we really settle in for this final, like you said, final season. I could maybe it's like a long season, but we definitely got more Fire Force coming.
Yeah, I think this season's only 12 episodes, so we're kind of nearing the end of it. I think we're, what, 9 episodes in already? You know what I mean? So we have a couple
Yeah,
more, which kind of leads me to think that this season might end up more of a cliffhanger towards the next season being a ton of fights. You know what I mean?
yeah, I agree. I think that's kind of the way it's shaping up, but that's got me excited. We're finally getting like this end game lore, and
Mm.
it's like, you know, as soon as we get that cliffhanger on episode 12, it'll be like, damn, I need that season now. So I'll be excited for kind of how we yeah, get left hanging here.
I mean, when Fire Force eventually comes to an end, I'm gonna have to just rewatch it again, all in one go, because there's just so much information and so many moving parts and so many things that are happening in this world that it's very easy to forget and miss stuff, especially when there's a lot of time between each season. So definitely something where I might even do that for the beginning of the last season, whenever that may be. You know what I mean? Because I feel like a nice refresher and kind of getting everything together is just gonna be nice because like there is a lot going on in this anime.
Yeah, Fire Force is very busy, which they do
Mm-hmm.
it well. I think it's a really good thing. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can still follow all the plot lines, but like you said, I just happened to look at the Chainsaw Man first season that came out in 2022. So you got to think like 3.5 years between seasons. It's really easy to forget like who that guy is or like just random, maybe not random points, but it's easy to let stuff slip through the cracks. So hopefully we don't have to wait too long. But at the same time, if it takes 3 years because you guys are balling out on animation and stuff like that, take your time.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll be
relax.
here.
To be honest, I don't mind that. I actually think when you have more time between seasons, it's actually a bit easier because you're able to deliver higher quality. People are in suspense, like ready for it, but then it also gives more stuff in between. You know what I mean? Because like something with the summer season, we made a video on it, we talked about it, talking a lot about it. There's just like too much. Like there is such thing that we're learning of too much anime. You know what I mean? So when you pace things out, and that's the thing, it's so congested because a lot of animes are rushing either a part two or a second season. You know,
Yes,
Kaiju
bro.
8, Dan, and what was the other one? Sakamoto Days. All
Sakamoto.
just had first seasons. You know what I mean? So that's three animes in this stacked season that are getting rushed onto a second part or second season where it's like, hey, dude, like pace that out a little bit. You know what I mean? Put some more time into it. Like it's all right. Like we'll wait. We're excited. Like Hell's Paradise doing that really well. Dropped the season what, a year ago, 2 years ago. I think at the end of this year or beginning of next year, it's getting its second season and probably its final season. That's the way you do it. You know what I mean? And we're still waiting. We're still excited. You know what I mean? We're gonna be ready. But it's like I feel like if they pace it out, take their time, it's always just a bit better. And Fire Force has done that and done a really good job with it.
Completely agree. And I think it works for those three animes because you're premiering and then you're kind of keeping that ball rolling.
Yeah.
But if something like Kaiju or Dandadan, they'll say, oh, it's going to be another 2.5, 3 years before the next season. We're going to do 24 episodes, blah, blah, blah. I think people would still be excited and happy. I think for Sakamoto Days, didn't really have the most successful or diabolically awesome
Yeah.
opening to season one. So I think it gives them a chance to kind of run it back, keep people into it. Obviously, you're going to have a certain level of success just because the manga's awesome. But yeah, you don't want to wait too long. You don't want to like rush stuff back in. I think, yeah, a year to like 3 years max. And it depends the studio too. Like Mappa's got a million other projects and movies and shit that they're doing. So like try to give a little leeway there. They're obviously probably overworked
Yeah.
for the most part, which I think we can all relate to in a way. Um, so yeah, don't want people waiting too long, but the suspense and hype will still be there if you deliver a good product.
Yeah. I mean, like, listen, like I might be a little biased here. But like to be fair, out of those three, I think the only one who actually did it right, and like we're not gonna know fully until seasons two have come and then have gone. But I think Kaiju was the only one who really did it right. When you look at it, Dan to Dan had a solid season one, but it ended at a really bad spot. You know what I mean? It really added at like,
Awkward,
yeah,
yeah.
we're like, we have this full 24 episode season. We're literally going to cut it in half. It did not end right. You know what I mean? That's a bit rough. Sakamoto Days, we have the, suspicion that maybe they're putting all of the time and energy and effort into the second part of the season, so the first part of the season wasn't really that great. You know what I mean? It was anime only, it was awesome, it was fine, but like when you compare it to the fluidity of the fight scenes in the manga and some of the detail that was in the manga compared to the anime, it's like, yeah, you definitely didn't live up to that manga. There's definitely a lot you could have done to help improve it and make it even better, especially for the anime only experience. So if that's the case and you put all the eggs into the second part of the season, like Dan to Dan and Sakamoto Days really kind of fucked it up and kind of put themselves like shot themselves in the foot by doing this. So far, Kaiju was the only one who actually like was kind of solid with it because they had a really good first season that started well, delivered well, and ended well. And hopefully we're gonna get a good season two. But again, we don't know fully until the season two come and then go. We have to see how they go before we decide who did it right and who kind of messed up.
Yeah, to be fair, I think they'll all succeed. They all
Mm-hmm.
have really good source content. It'll be interesting, I think, to see, not people like us who are watching a lot of anime or kind of like going season by season, picking out other things that you may have not naturally that you wouldn't normally be like into, but like to see, especially in a stacked season like this, what kind of has popularity or like what kind of breaks through some of the big premieres because people will watch them regardless. It'll be
Mm-hmm.
cool to see what kind of breaks through. And yeah, it's tough to say so far, but I think you have a really good idea of where Kaiju is going at the end of this season, which I think will be, I'll say it's like Shibuya level hype, Jujutsu Kaisen. I cannot wait
Oh,
for it. I think we're building up to like an absolute internet breaking phenomenal season, similar to like Solo Leveling season two. You are
oh,
constantly getting hit with good shit. I think Kaiju's going to be like like a true definition of peak fiction.
Yo, I'm so excited if that's the case. That is awesome and amazing news.
It, without giving any spoilers, like I think this season will build up the cast really, really well because
Hmm.
we know Kafka's OP. You know, we got a taste of his kind of like limits being broken, even though he kind of
Yeah.
lost control. I think the other guys and girls will try and get up to that level.
We
You know
also
what I
got
mean?
a lot of introductions at the end of the first season too. You know what I mean? We got introduced to a lot of
Oh
like
yeah,
the powerhouses and the top level guys. Like we got the commissioner, Shinomiya's father, but then also like his left hand, his right hand man. You know what I mean? Who's apparently also a beast. So like having a season 2 that will develop them and have them be more like prominently displayed. I think that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be like really cool. Like I can't wait for that. That's gonna be sick.
the hype, dude. It is there. You're gonna love it. Everybody's gonna love it. Let's be real.
It's gonna be awesome. It delivered. One thing I'm nervous about with Kaiju 8 is that it had one of the greatest endings ever in season 1. Don't know how you're gonna like ending songs. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
it's always tough to top like the banger intros and
yeah.
outros, but as long as it's solid, I'll take it.
But anyways, guys, that is it for this week. Is there anything you want to say about this week before we're out?
I feel like the end of these seasons is they're all just ramping up. Everything is sick. To Be Hero X probably my favorite. I won't say it's the best because that's
Oh.
subjective, but right now just absolutely killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it'll be sweet to kind of see where we go with some of these arcs because like I have bits and pieces from manga or like clips or whatever, but until you see it, you don't know. So very excited moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest too. I think it's my favorite as well. It has just been like so good. It's been so many different arcs. All these arcs are so entertaining, so intriguing and engaging. These characters are amazing. I mean, it's so hard not to love 2B Hero X, and the fact that a lot of people like still don't know about this anime because it kind of just came out of nowhere is insane. You guys gotta get on it. 2B Hero X is phenomenal. It is really, really good. But that is it. Hope you guys have a phenomenal rest of your week. Anime is killing it and is about to get super busy, so hope you guys are excited. Hope you guys are ready. That is it, guys. Later. Peace.